filmed 3 videos today. Let me tell you, I'm getting tired. On to the next one. Hey Wanderers, today I'm going to be doing tips for surviving the NICU. As you know, Sophia was a NICU baby. We weren't in there for the longest time, but we were in there for 7 days. I did pick up on some cool tricks, and I have lots of friends who have had babies in the NICU, and I made friends while in the NICU, so I've kind of compiled this list to help you get through the NICU, or if you're kind of worried that your baby's going to be in the NICU or whatever, maybe this is just a fun video to watch and see what it's really like in there. On this topic, I do want to say that most babies that are in the NICU are premature babies, but I do want to bring a little bit of light to meconium aspiration syndrome and the many other illnesses that bring babies into the NICU that are not talked about enough. If you don't know what meconium aspiration syndrome, it's basically when the baby poops inside when you're pregnant and has aspirated, breathed in, the meconium, that's what the poop's called. And it is like a thick tar poop, so it coats their lungs and stuff. There's different severities of meconium aspiration syndrome. Sadly, Sophia was on the very high severity level, I guess you would say. So I did deal with that. Maybe I should make a whole video on meconium aspiration because I feel like it is not talked about enough, and there's not enough info out there. Like, it wasn't even something I thought about when I was pregnant. I never worried about her pooping. I just thought, oh, that's not gonna happen, and then it did, and I was totally unprepared for it. This is why I've created this list to help you if your baby is in the NICU. Now, these are not just based on meconium aspiration syndrome. These are based on any baby that could be in the NICU at any point, or maybe even if your child is sick and you're spending a lot of time in the hospital. My first tip is to celebrate all the good things. No matter how small, make sure you celebrate them, because every step towards your end goal is a positive thing, and it's very easy to get caught up in all the things that could go wrong or are going wrong and not in the amount of things that are going right. And it's very important that you keep positive for your baby. My next tip is to enlist a really good support system, whether it's friends, family, your husband, the nurses, counselor, fellow NICU mommies or daddies. Make sure you have someone to talk to at all times, because there's going to be times where you just need to vent. You feel like this wall is building up, or this avalanche is the best way to describe it, is building up inside of you, and you cannot figure out a way to word all the emotions that you're feeling. You're feeling scared, you're feeling sad, you're feeling happy. There's so many feelings that you feel, and you need to have an outlet to release them. So, you know, you just gotta have a good support system. My next tip is, if you're staying at the hospital, I know I did. I stayed in the mother's lounge, which is like a room, really crappy room, just down the hall from the NICU, so that I could be with my baby at all times. I know that's not an option for some moms who have children at home. I didn't, so I was able to stay with Sophia 24/7 around the clock. I barely left the hospital. So if you're staying at the hospital, bring microwave food. Ask the nurses to use their staff fridge, because there probably isn't one provided in the room that you're staying in the hospital. And sometimes they'll let you and sometimes they won't. Sometimes it's like a little hush hush, depending on how big your hospital is. Mine was very small, so it was literally just the staff that used it. It wasn't like, because I used it, 20 other NICU mommies were going to use it as well. If that's not an option, to put it in their fridge, because you do need to freeze the microwave stuff most likely. That's where the support system comes in to help bring you food, because buying out every day, if you're going down to the cafeteria every day, 3 times a day, like you're eating right, that's a joke, is very expensive. And having a new baby is expensive enough, and you don't need to add another expense to your long list of expenses, the travel fees, etc., etc. So if you can bring your own food, it's a great idea. I actually got my mom to bring me a kettle, and I bought a bunch of packaged oatmeals, and I would just go down to the cafeteria and get a bowl and make myself oatmeal every morning. And we all know that when you're in the NICU, or even just with a new baby, you're tired enough, so you got to make sure that you eat. And I know that's hard to believe, but you do. It is so important to eat and keep proper, especially if you're breastfeeding, because what are you giving your baby if you're not giving yourself anything? So just keep that in mind if you are in there and want to save some money. So my next tip is to go with your gut. I know that sounds silly, but when you're in the NICU, it's very intimidating, and it's easy to feel like you don't have a right to ask questions about your baby But if you have a question, ask. Honestly, the doctors really appreciate it. It makes you look very involved, like you are, not that you're not, but it looks like you are concerned and you want to know everything that's going on. I did tell my doctors and nurses, anything that happens with Sophia in the 5 minutes that I sleep, you make sure you talk to me first. If she cries, I want to know. If she's getting a needle or getting a new IV put in, I need to know. I need to be there. That is totally your right. You are totally allowed to do that. So don't feel afraid. They will appreciate your input, your thoughts, your questions, your concern. It's all something that they are going to really love hearing from you, knowing that you are a caring parent and you are there, because trust me, they see the bad parents in there as well. So it's kind of refreshing for them to see, you know, the caring mom and dad. The next tip is kind of silly and kind of like shallow maybe, but bring your own linens, like receiving blankets, cozy blankets, your breastfeeding cover, anything you want, and decorate your incubator or your cot that your baby is put in. It just helps you feel more at home and like you have a say in what was going on. I know Sophia wasn't able to get dressed. I think it was until day 3 when her central lines came out, which are basically the IVs that go into her belly button, well, through her umbilical cord. And when that day came, it was such a relief. I find that when you make yourself comfortable, and I know you can't really make yourself at home in the NICU, but kind of making it feel a little bit more homey and like you have a little bit more play with that baby, and you feel like that's really your baby. So I brought in receiving blankets and cozy blankets, and like I wore my big sweatshirts to snuggle her in and got her dressed in her cute little outfits, and it was really just, it just made me feel better. Like I got her dressed today, so that's a good thing. Like I said, you have to celebrate the small things. So my next tip is probably one that you really don't want to hear, but it is to make friends. I know this is the last place and the last time that you think you want to be social, but trust me, it helps to have friends on the inside. You only have limited amount of people that you can actually bring into the NICU. You can bring your husband and your husband's parents and your parents, and that's pretty much it. Only close family. So there's very few people that you actually get to share this bundle of joy with. I made friends with a girl in there who had twins, and it was so exciting watching her 2 boys go through all the huge milestones and like the big progresses, and cheer them on and cheer her on and support each other. And when you're in there in the middle of the night and there's nobody there except for this friend, you can just hug each other and be like, it's okay, we're both okay. And it's just nice having somebody that understands what you're going through and can be there with you throughout the whole process. So don't feel shy, try to meet friends, just do small talk, and eventually it'll just lead into this friendship. It's much more fluid and easier than you think. So my last tip is pretty general, but it's probably one of the most important ones. Just breathe. You just need to take a deep breath. And I know that sounds stupid, but there's so much going on and you're probably so anxious and upset, and this was supposed to be the happiest time of your life, and instead it's the scariest time of your life. Keep those positive thoughts running through you and always send out the positive vibes to your baby. I kept telling myself positive vibes, healing thoughts, and I thought maybe my energy will just help her in some way, and so I always tried to keep positive, and even when I felt like breaking down, I just kept telling myself, we're one step closer, we're almost there, you're doing great. This is a small setback for a big comeback. So that's it for my tips for surviving the NICU. If your baby is in the NICU or was in the NICU, I'd love to hear from you. I honestly love talking to other moms. If you need a hand to hold, here I am, holding out my hand. I will take it. I will be your friend. I will join your support system. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful to some of you in any way it can be. And if you want to hear more about maybe meconium aspiration syndrome or my NICU experience, I would love to talk more about it because I feel like it's just not talked about enough. See you in the next video. Bye guys.